This video is brought to you in part by Jerry because he fucked up Monique's clock spring when he did the steering rack pushes. So now we get to show you how to replace the clock spring and fix your airbag light. So, well, when the car is on, you got the airbag light solid on. The horn works, cruise control still works, but we probably tore a connection that opened the circuit for the squib for the airbag system. So I scanned the code. It had a related fault. So we also heard a click when we were turning the wheel, so that probably confirms it, especially after the work that we did. As a safety thing, you kind of want to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery because we are working with airbags, but I'll show you the mechanical portion of it. So first you want to take off this cover. If you have cruise control, you can just pull it off like that on that side. Other side, use a flat blade or a thin pry tool. It's just a mirror image on that side. Yeah, so that's the left side. Then you have these Torx bits. There's one on each side. Let me see if might have to get another bit. I don't think this is the right one. Yeah. Make sure you get the right bit. Otherwise, if you strip those, you've got another issue. I think it's a 230. Yeah, it's a 230. And these two screws are captive, so they don't come out all the way. Yeah, so once you feel it back out pretty much all the way, it stays in the plastic clip there. Also make sure your steering wheel is centered. I recommend using a piece of tape to level the steering wheel. I'm just going to use the steering wheel so it doesn't move up too much. So once those two Torx bits are out, or Torx screws are out, airbag comes out like that. And this is your horn connection. There you go, there's a little tab. Now for the airbag connector, use a flat blade or similar to pull out that tab. Come straight up and out. And you always want to store this on a flat level surface facing up. Just put it here for now. That's in case it does decide to deploy. And here we have some wiring, and we can see that actually the clock spring itself is still plugged in. So you can see when this is actually the connector for the horn. It's only one cable. When it grounds itself, the horn's on when your battery is connected. So make sure you disconnect your battery. And the rest of the cable for this harness is going to be for that cruise control. So we have a 19mm, I believe. Let me just grab that socket. And what I do, sometimes it's hard, just once it's all the way off, screw it on a little bit, and then you're pretty much pulling. I'm gonna force this back, so when it comes off, it doesn't come off the spline completely. The nut's gonna hold it on, so that's the reason why we keep that nut on, because what I was doing is forcing it back, and if this nut wasn't here, this steering wheel would be in my face. So, yep, so that's the steering wheel off. Now you can put on your fancy JDM quick detaches. So to get to the rest of the clock spring, on this model, technically you can get the screws if you pried the plastic, but we're doing it the proper way. So we're gonna take these two upper and lower trim portions off. 2 Phillips head screws. There should be one more screw on the bottom cover. Total of 3 Phillips. Do that one by feel. There it is. And just so you know, the bottom screw is different. The two ones horizontal are the longer ones. The bottom one is it's like a fine thread, shorter bolt. This cover comes off now. You can just leave that like that. And then you have 4 Phillips heads holding that old clock spring in. Actually, it would have been a good idea to mark the spline on the steering wheel before we took it off. So that is off. Behind here we have a connector. Yellow ones for the airbag, black ones for the rest of the functions. So for this one, I believe it's going to be a 2-stage connector for the airbag. I have to push one side in. We'll take off this one first. Actually, before we take it off, let's match it to the other one. Yeah, it looks like they're about the same. So this one's spring loaded. You pull this back and then it comes off like that. The reason it does that, or I think the reason on this one, is because there's a mechanism there that pretty much grounds the any voltage that's still in the cable, so that avoids accidental airbag deployment. So that's our old clock spring. So the reason why this broke is probably we put the spline on one run on the steering rack, and then this overextended itself and tore the cable inside. Once you take this out, it's a ribbon cable. Looks about the same. You should go with an OEM replacement from the dealer. You can see that there's a serial number on this one. That's the original. And on this one, I don't see a serial number. We'll try this out, see if it fixes that light, and in the future, if we have to, it's not a hard replacement to do. So the new one goes in one way, upright, line up the holes on the bolts. And there's instructions that tell you the site here, where it should be, but that's pretty much to make sure you have it centered. It's pretty much grooved, so it goes in one way, I believe. If you have a gun or impact, do not use that to install these, because it'll strip out. Alright, so once you have that centered, you can pull the ripcord. I believe it just straight up. That will pretty much let go of the ribbon cable inside, so you better make sure you have it straight at that point. Should have also plugged this in, that would have helped. Don't forget to plug that in before you put it back together. There. So positive connection, you hear it click really loud. So that's good. And again, you want to make sure you didn't mess up. I really should have taped and painted that. So right now I'm just hoping that I didn't install it one spline off. Nut back on. And you'll see, we'll pass it through. You see the crimp from the original where this was. So we'll make sure we hook that up. This will be the horn. This will be for the airbag module. And what I'm gonna do is, this has a torque spec. We're just gonna pull that out just in case, because you don't want to even risk stripping that. Steering wheel retainer nut, and it's gonna be 34 newton meters. 34 newton meters. Lock that in. You'll probably have to hold the wheel because it's gonna try and spin, and just like that. So that's 34. All right. Airbag module back. So we have that horn connector. That's first. That actually clicks in. Make sure everything else is plugged in before you put this back. And it only goes in one way. There's a key eye on that. Hopefully it doesn't explode in my face right now. And make sure that tab's pulled up. Boom. It did not blow up yet. Horn works. And we have those two captive Torx nuts. I forgot to put trim back on, but we can do that after. I'll show you how to do that. Just make sure that the bolt catches. So you want to estimate 9 newton meters, which is not very much. Again, do not strip this out, otherwise you'll probably strip the steering wheel out first, because that side's aluminum. So I'm using a 1/4 inch drive ratchet, finger tight and a little bit. Actually, it feels like the bolt bottoms out, or has an end to it. So if you strip that out, then you really did it. Yeah, so that's in. Okay. And to put these back on, because you notice that the bolt holes are covered now. The steering lock's engaged right now. Turn off the steering lock and just turn it And actually, you won't be able to get it from the bottom, but if you turn the wheel, you'll be able to get the screw from just over there. So we'll put the two sides together. We'll peg that goes in that corresponding hole right there. So make sure that's where it's supposed to be before you push it down. Oh, that's pretty positive on. These ones interlock. That's good. That's good. Yeah, this would have been easier if I did it with the steering wheel. The other side. Bottom screw. Make sure the bottom screw doesn't strip because it's fine thread. So that's on. And you can turn it on and make sure that the airbag light's gone. So that's fixed. Horn's good. Cruise control light comes on. The only way to fully test it is to do a road test and actually test the cruise control function to make sure that the set and the cancel is working, because you can't tell unless you go on a road test. We'll put these covers back on though. So the back of the cover away from you goes in first. Then the front just clicks in, same on the other side. And that is done. So make sure, if you're doing this at home, make sure you disconnect the negative battery, just to prevent any chance of that airbag going off.